We'll start recording there. Admit Kyle into the room. You may enter, Kyle. You may enter. There he is. All right.
Hello.
Hola.
Hola, indeed. Boy, how's it going, guys? A long time no talk to. Well, it's not really true. It's actually, we've pumped out a few quick recordings, which is good because it's going to get busy for me. So I wanted to get one in before my new recruits came in a week.
Got a bunch of kids, punks to keep in line now.
Yeah, they're coming in 6 days. They'll be landing, and we'll be kicking their butts and yelling at them, and it's fun.
They're
Nice.
not even human fucking beings.
Well,
What's that from?
yeah, we can't quite
Full
say
Metal
that.
Jacket.
You have not seen that one? Is this another recommendation week for Katie?
Well, yeah, I feel like, I've definitely heard of it, and I maybe have seen parts of it, and I must not have liked it if I did see it.
Sure, that's fair. It's not for everybody, but it's a great. I love it. It's one of my. I saw it when I was a kid when it came out. Like I was 12 or something when I first saw it. I love Vietnam movies. I've always been a sucker for them. That's probably why I enjoy the Rambo films. I love Platoon, Full Metal Jacket. I love Vietnam. I love war movies, but particularly love the Vietnam movies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do too. Actually, when you got the Deer Hunter is really good.
Yes, thank you. I knew
Yeah,
I
I
was
like
missing
that
one.
one.
Of course,
Yeah.
because Robert De Niro's in it. Yeah.
Mhm.
The Russian roulette scene's brutal.
Yeah, it is.
So, Katie, I've sent you a link to just the opening scene to Full Metal Jacket.
All right, I'll have to take a peek later.
In my opinion, is the best part of the whole movie.
Oh, yeah, I have seen this. It looks familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or pieces of it, at least. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
This is exactly what Ryan does. Don't let him tell you that he's not allowed to do that. That's just he has to say that for legal reasons, but once the doors close, shit gets real.
Oh yeah. I can't say any of those words. You're not allowed to call them names.
Did you used to be able to? And this is a new thing?
Yeah,
Like
when
within
I
the
went
last-
through, I went through 17 years ago, and when I went through, they used to say we can't hit you anymore. That was what they used to say to me then. Like, oh yeah, you guys are lucky. When I went through, I was physically struck by the instructors.
Yeah,
Oh,
my dad
wow.
went through in the 70s, and that's what it was like.
Wow.
So that was their thing. They were mad that they couldn't hit us anymore.
Oh my God. They
And-
wanted their revenge.
Yeah, and now it's we're not allowed to name call at all. You can't. But there's other ways. There's other ways to get through to them. You just yeah. I'm good at it.
You
But
can be sarcastic. You'd be like, "You're just the best fucking recruit we've ever seen. No one's better than you. You sure can do that, right? We're
Well-
just so impressed."
no, what you can do. We had one guy who was really bad at drill, and I just told him, I said, "Your drill is absolutely pathetic." So you don't say you're pathetic.
Mm.
Your drill is the worst drill I've ever seen. Your drill is
Very-
pathetic. But
Fine line.
yeah, so it is because I'm saying it can get better. You need to get better because right now it's one of the worst drill I've ever seen. You as a character is up to you. I'm not telling you what you are. I'm telling you what the production that you've given me is terrible.
Which we all could assume it's because you suck, though.
Right.
You know, we know that.
Mhm.
All right. Well, my wife just sent me a text that Quebec will be going into the red in the coming days if we don't smarten up with the COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that means only going out once a week for essentials, no restaurants open except for delivery, etc., like we were before. Ugh.
Like there will be a mandate, like
Yeah.
an ordinance, like a city ordinance.
Yeah, back to the way it was when it first hit in March.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that, let's see here. We're recording, and let's make sure we're double recording in case something screws up. Okay, so here we go. Welcome everybody to Going the Distance, the Rocky and Creed series podcast. Well, what are you drinking there, Katie?
Water.
Oh,
I had a very long, boozy weekend, so water on Sunday night.
Kyle?
I have a Guinness.
You know, I actually really hate it when podcasts. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that because one of my friends has a podcast and he starts his podcast with "What are you drinking?" segments. I should say I hate it. That's a strong word. I just I zone out a little bit because I can't taste what they're tasting. So it's kind of like I know you're drinking something that probably tastes good, but I can't appreciate it with you. So I always kind of like skip maybe 30 seconds or something. But okay, I'm drinking water too, filtered water. All right, well, here we go. Let's just roll right into it. Let's get the what do you call it? The emails.
Mail?
The emails. I think we got a couple of good ones rolled in.
So the first one is from Greg.
Greg the
And
first. It is.
well,
It is Greg
it's
the first.
signed Greg. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
and I'm a little bit miffed that he didn't sign it Greg the first, and I don't know if it was just a mistake or if he just doesn't want the moniker anymore. But I would appreciate, Katie, if you referred to him as Greg the first, though. I don't.
Okay. It's from Greg the first.
Okay.
And yes, and he recognizes it's been a while since he's written. He
Mhm.
says, Ryan, Kyle, and Katie, it's been a little while. I've been busy, but I've been keeping up with listening, even if I haven't been able to write. First, I want to say welcome, Katie. She has been a worthy addition to the crew, and I think it's nice to have a fresh voice on the show, particularly a female voice. I especially enjoyed her observation about Rocky and Steps. I had never made that connection before, but it certainly holds true in Creed movies also. Adonis literally trains in a stairwell at the hospital later in Creed, and Rocky is living in an apartment in Creed 2 that has a long flight of steps leading up to his front door. It's in the front of those steps that Rocky and Adonis have their big argument about taking the first Drago fight. That is the type of analysis I come to your podcast for. It also makes it easier for me to forgive her for ranking Creed last among all the films.
Yeah, that is a hot take. You rating that last is a pretty hot take.
Yeah. And then he says, Ryan, I also wanted to shout out your own observation in the last episode about Rocky moving a little slower and saying something at the grave to Adrian as being possible foreshadowing of Rocky's cancer. That isn't something I had picked up on, but I think you're probably right. Speaking of Rocky at the gravesite, I cannot remember if we talked about Adrian and Polly's graves too much before, or if you talked with Mike Kunda about them, but those headstones are really there and you can visit them at Laurel Hill Cemetery in Philly. I've driven past before, but never stopped to go in and see the headstones. I want to do that on my next trip there. It's really a beautiful location that does in fact sit up on a hill overlooking the Schuylkill River. And then he says, thanks again for continuing to pump out new podcast episodes, even if the theme song choices continue to suck.
Love it.
Oh, that's a good dig. That's cool. Did you guys know or talk about that the headstones are actually in that cemetery? I didn't know that you could even do that.
That sounds weird. That
Right?
I presume are those headstones? I could see them being headstones of like legitimate headstones where they somehow like photoshopped or took the graphics to make it look like Adrian's names on it. I'd find it very odd that they'd put fake headstones in a cemetery with Adrian and Polly's name and then leave them there. Like that seems really weird.
I feel like I knew that, but I didn't think they were still in the graveyard because I've seen people take pictures with Adrian's for sure. I didn't know about Paulie's. So if any of our listeners are Greg the First, I'm sure what he's saying is true, but I feel like I've seen people take photos with Adrian's, but it looked different than what the film was. So maybe they are there in that graveyard, but placed somewhere differently than they're shown in the film. I feel like they were behind,
maybe
just in front of a fence line or something.
There's something I want to say to Philadelphia, and I love Philadelphia.
I've never been. I need to do a Rocky tour. I need to go to the cemetery as well. Make it a whole Rocky Philadelphia tour.
There's some guy that does that. I don't know.
Apparently, never heard of him.
Never
before.
heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, I would. You know what?
Anyways,
If somebody was smart, they would set up a tour of all the Rocky sites.
Yeah, and it would be cool if he kind of looked like Rocky too.
The icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But the message I want to send to Philly is, just remember, Rocky is pretend.
Oh.
He's not real. Adrian and Paulie are also not real.
But they are in our heads.
Having gravestones of them, like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's fantastic because we have a statue of Rocky there. Why not the gravestone?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, it's a terrible segue, but I don't want to forget to say it. Remember, we were talking about. I made the joke last episode where did Adonis watch the Rocky films before he contacted Rocky? And that was kind of like a meta joke, obviously. However, during that same film scene, we discussed that he did the Godfather impression. Now check this out. So in the Rocky universe, there's the Godfather films. Okay, that means there's the Godfather sequel. That means there's Robert De Niro. That means there's a Grudge Match movie and a Copland movie with Robert De Niro. That means there's an actor who looks just like Rocky in the Rocky universe. Because there's this. So, where does Sylvester Stallone exist?
Wow. How many parallel or planes of existence did we have to cross through to get there? But
I guess we just assume.
Yeah, that's the most solid logic I've ever heard in my entire life. That's ironclad.
Well, it's weird because
logic.
The same thing happened. Because he does the Godfather impersonation, so we know the Godfather movies exist. Thus, Robert De Niro exists. Or you could argue this alternate universe doesn't have a sequel, and it's just the Godfather, the original, and that's it. And there is no Robert De Niro in this because that Robert De Niro existence would clash with Stallone. Or there is Robert De Niro, but the Stallone actor doesn't exist in this universe.
Oh my gosh,
that would be the obvious choice.
Yeah, right? I know. But the other one was we talked about this in our Tango and Cash review. Same idea is Sylvester Stallone's character Cash. You know, he takes down a highway chase scene. He takes down the guy, and one of the cops says, "Who does this guy think he is? Rambo?" And we discussed that too. Yeah. Is that so? In that film universe, they have the character Rambo. Right? They've watched it on the screen because he's making fun of this cop acting like Rambo. But the cop that acts like Rambo happens to look like Rambo.
It is the person,
So again, you'd argue then I guess there is a character named Rambo in this universe, but it's played by a different actor. Blah blah blah. Right?
Yeah,
it's just kind of funny. I like it when we because Creed is kind of formed in the reality of it's a very kind of it's a you know, even like Rocky IV doesn't feel real-ish compared to Creed films. You know what I mean by that? This is a more plausible film. Yeah. So, anyways, Godfather exists in this world, but not Copland and Grudge Match. Anyways,
that's like how George Foreman now exists in the Rocky universe.
Yeah, we talked.
But no one knows who he is or talks about him ever, except for like one line.
That's funny. All right. Greg, the first have more to say, or was that it?
Nope, that was Greg's.
Thank you, Greg. We appreciate words, and I just want to say, so Greg the first, he did do what I thought he did. He titled that, I think, episodes 4 to 6 or whatever. So he does binge watch them together. So we'll be more patient, Greg. We'll be more patient. Okay.
The next, the next one is from Patrick, from Germany, and his is titled Creed Episode 7. So Patrick says, "Hello, Ryan, Kyle, and Katie. Great episode again. Episode 7, that is. First, a little bit of housekeeping on my part. He's so well organized. I love this.
Yeah, it's a very well organized.
Yeah.
Too bad our podcast wasn't organized, but
no, it probably drives him nuts.
Yeah.
So a few days ago, I decided to join your Patreon because over the last 2 years, I've been listening to your show and have become an integral part of, and you have become an integral part of my Rocky fan life. It's good to know that your coverage of Creed 2 will last until probably the end of next year." And then he says, "And then we have a few years of Rambo ahead of us. And then ? Maybe the Expendables series podcast ?
No.
Yeah. That would be better than
the Escape Plan ones?
Escape Plan ones, yeah.
No. I'm just, for the record right now, for all our listeners, my intention is to do the Rocky and Rambo, because those are the what's the word that starts with the letter P? Pentenment? What's that word? The ultimate, but it starts with the letter P. I'm gonna find it and I'll insert it in the post edit. But
okay.
But the ultimate Stallone movies are, as far as franchise, are the Rocky Rambo. Those are his two Mount Rushmore films of his career or franchises. So what I'm going to do after the Rambo films, I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm not covering any more franchises in this manner when it comes to Stallone. I'm saying that for the record. Okay.
But you've got some things up your sleeve, is what you're saying.
I do have some. Well, I don't think I'm ever going to stop podcasting because I just enjoy it so much. It's a fun hobby. Just like, does anyone stop fishing? Because you just catch different fish or go to different areas to fish. And that's kind of how I look at podcasting. I'm going to change locations, change subjects, but I'm not going to stop podcasting. But after the Rambo franchise is done, I'll be done with Stallone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the first point. Second point is regarding Facebook and Twitter. I have to admit that I don't have either. So I'm not the Patrick that is following Katie on Twitter. My preferred communication with other Sly fans is via the Stallone Zone fan forum.
Yeah. I know that that's a Facebook page that I'm not a part of, but I'm aware of it. Yeah.
Okay. 3, I just discovered another German connection to your podcast. Katie's surname Geilenkirchen is a German word and is in fact the name of a city in Germany with a population of about 27,000 people. It's about 2 hours drive from my hometown. And he did attach a picture of the sign. And my parents have been there. My whole family's all been to Germany except for me. But yeah, there's like an Air Force base there also. I'm curious where, Patrick, you'll have to let us know what town you do live in, if you feel like sharing that. But yeah, he attached a picture of the town sign.
Oh, let me, sorry, keep, my bad. I should have had a better podcast. Would have had that ready for our Patreon. Because that's why they pay the big bucks.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point. They get to see this.
There is another attachment. So cue it up, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
There's another attachment. And then
there it is for our Patreon people. There's Geilenkirchen.
Is it?
Oh, the signpost, Geilenkirchen, Kreis, Heisenberg. No, you guys, sorry. The Patreon guys will see it, but because it records on my end.
Got it. Okay. So that's super cool. Yeah, I also need to go to Germany and go to Geilenkirchen.
Yeah.
And number 4 is I created a fan shirt just for myself that I want to have printed in the next few weeks, or are there any copyright problems? And he attached a picture of his design. It's a black shirt with Going the Distance in white and the Rocky Series podcast in red.
It's adorable. I saw it. This is up for, again, our Patreon people can see this. So Patrick, by all means, I sent him an email back saying that's very very flattering. I said, knock your socks off. There's no, it's adorable copyright.
I thought you were going to use your Patreon funds for legal fees to sue you.
Yes, right.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, his donation should indicate, Patrick, your donation should indicate the kind of money I'm rolling in here. So yeah, I'm gonna get my best. I'm gonna get my best lawyers on you, and imagine the irony that I sue my patrons for
with their own money.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, thanks, Patrick. That's really cool, by the way. So
it is cool, and it looks good.
Yeah,
I want one.
Yeah. For sure.
So now he says, now to some Creed related things. Ryan mentioned that the problem of Sly not getting the Oscar for Creed could have been that it was Sly's 7th portrayal of the character, and that Mark Rylance
yeah,
did his character for the first time. That is definitely a good point of view, but I still think that it was the perfect chance for the Academy to award Sly for his career, something that was arguably done with Al Pacino when Al Pacino got the Oscar for Scent of a Woman in '92.
Yeah.
And to do that for this portrayal of Rocky, one of the most beloved screen characters, would have been just perfect. Totally agree.
Yeah,
such a wasted he says, such a wasted opportunity. Cue the Robert De Niro Copland scene telling the Academy, "You blew it."
Oh, I love that scene.
Yeah.
It's true. The Academy did blow it on that. Yeah. That's a good point. I totally agree with that. That if the Academy were to, I know he's got more to say there, and I agree with what he's about to say next, but yeah, if there was a moment to kind of honor a veteran of screen and box office, like Stallone, he ran the gamut of creating a character and ruling the box office in the 80s and some of the 90s. I mean, he was a big star, and that would have been kind of his. Because Scent of the Woman isn't a great film, but Al Pacino provided a lot of entertainment, right, over the years. So that was kind of like, okay, this is like, good job on being a good actor.
You ever watch Scent of a Woman on weed?
No.
I have not, but I know.
Sorry, that's a quote from Half Baked.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie, but yeah, I don't even think I knew that Al Pacino won for that movie. However, I think to the point, if they haven't, they really need to. If he doesn't get a Lifetime Achievement Award, like I feel like that's what he should get.
Well, read what Patrick says there, and I think this is why that might not happen.
Oh, yeah. So then Patrick goes on to say, before the ceremony, everybody was talking about Sly, his nomination, and that it was his moment. I really thought he would get it, although that's an interesting thing there. I read an article before the ceremony that members of the Academy from different branches said that they would definitely not vote for Sly because his ego hurt a lot of people over the years.
Yeah.
So maybe that and the Rylance connection to Bridges of Spies director Steven Spielberg, who everybody loves in Hollywood, were the two deciding factors.
Well, because we know that Jews control Hollywood. No, that's the conspiracy theory. But anyways, yeah. So, I kind of agree that I think Sly. I don't think it's like he personally went out and offended people, but anytime somebody's successful, it can rub a lot of people the wrong way in any business, any company, any.
That's true.
It's just.
But isn't who's the guy who always sits courtside at
Jack Nicholson?
Isn't he kind of known to be that way, and he's one?
But he rubbed shoulders with them and partied with them, and Sly never. I don't know if he ever really did that. He didn't seem like he was he never like did parties with people. He was kind of like a lone wolf in his own way. Like he was at these events and stuff, but he kind of forged his own empire, maybe independently from. But definitely his physique and the way he was in the 80s and 90s, it probably rubbed other thespians of the movie industry the wrong way, that he was a box office gold by flexing his muscles, and people like Jack Nicholson or Warren Beatty or these outgoing guys are like, oh, just because he has muscles, he's making box office gold. Who knows what the reasons are, but he, like I said, he's worth $500 million. Like it's a lot of money. And there are actors today, and again, I'm not saying it's about the money, but the money represents his draw over the years and what he's built for himself. And there's probably some animosity with that. Jealousy.
Yeah. You brought up a really good point with he didn't need them. Like for whatever reason, that was not going to pave his way to what he wanted to do, and he made his own way.
Nobody owes him anything.
Yeah.
They do because they want to do.
That's right.
Way to bring it back, Kyle.
That's awesome. Well, that's what Kyle does, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so Patrick goes on to say, lastly, I think that the chemistry between Sly and MBJ really shows in these training scenes. These little amusing bits when Sly sits on the chair and tells Adonis that he should continue skipping rope, although the bell rang. Adonis seems like he's wanting to say, wait, really? But is really showing respect for Rocky, as he's not actually complaining, but doing the things that Rocky's telling him to do. And Patrick is saying that he really likes that. Looking forward to the next episode. Cheers, Patrick.
Wow, that's a big one. It's really cool that people take the time to write. And I want to say that's really kind of you, Patrick, and Greg the first, and everyone that emails us. Because it's just, one, it gives us a great discussion points to begin the show. I think it's a great part of the show because it makes us talk about things and look at avenues and ways of thinking. That it's not just us saying this is what I think all the time. I like saying what I think on what they think, and I think it's a good conversation piece. So, yeah, like I say, some of these emails are much more intelligent than what I come up with. So I appreciate that. Appreciate it.
They are really good.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we have. Is this a Patreon message possibly from Cameron?
Cameron, he's our top Patreon. He knows why. He's our top one.
Awesome. Okay, so Cameron says, just finished watching. Oh, and this is for episode 7. I just finished watching another good episode. Thanks for the Patreon thanks message. Appreciate it. A couple of comments. I read Sly got some tattoos to cover scars and varicose veins, which were getting unsightly. Not sure if true, but might have been the reason for getting them. The Rocky IV cut might have been a result of COVID more so than looking to make a buck. He doesn't need the cash, but with filming shut down, might have decided that this was the right time to take on a project like that. And it's fitting with the anniversary. Anyway, just a thought, keep punching. I agree with him. I think those are really spot on insights, Cameron, for sure. That totally makes sense because we were talking about how we wondered why someone at that age would get, so many tattoos, at that particular age. And yeah, I think maybe not you guys, but I was like, oh, he's looking to make a buck. But you're right.
I agree with it.
He doesn't need it.
I had somebody on Facebook also mention the tattoo regarding the veins. So I've heard it from a couple of people. So it kind of makes sense in that it would explain the age. So I guess it's one or the other. Like what looks, now I hate to say what looks worse. Or does a tattoo look better than weird looking veins and tears in his muscles over the years? Or does the tattoo look, I don't know. To me, I don't really care. Whatever he's kind of happy with is fine with me.
I believe the vein thing Like I believe that. Like I don't know for sure. Like it's just my guess, but that sounds about right. I think Sly is very
Oh, he's vain.
sensitive about
Vain.
his appearance.
Mhm.
That's very important to him. I personally think people should just embrace aging. Like if
Yeah.
I
you have your
agree.
varicose veins, just rock them. Like confidence is from within, right?
It is kind of
And
ironic, yeah, that maybe it's ironic that not maybe just Sly, but just anyone who is a celebrity in a weird way, and they should be completely confident. They have millions of dollars, they have fans, but ironically, they're maybe sometimes not as confident as the little peons like us. Like it's okay to get wrinkles. It's okay to have great.
Right.
We like what? Celebrities age too? That's weird.
I think it's probably very difficult it's very keeping up with the Joneses, I have a feeling, in Hollywood. And
Oh yeah.
so if you don't, so it's sort of like if you are somebody who does want to just age naturally and gracefully, then you're at a big disadvantage in that town, seemingly, because everybody's so perfect. um, but on that note, so we did talk about in an episode, I don't know if it was 7, but we were talking about Sylvester's mom.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention that. Okay. No,
Yeah,
we haven't mentioned it
and
on a recording yet.
no,
Okay.
no, we had talked about
Her horrible face.
in a previous, well, and in the article that I read, there was a BBC article. So unfortunately, shush, be respectful.
I
Jackie
want.
Sloan did pass
I'd never
away.
seen her before. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, the reason that I thought of it, well, two things that we want to acknowledge that his mom passed away and at 98. So you were right, Ryan, because we were like trying to guess how old she was.
Well, she was 98,
And
but her face was 5 years old. I know.
yeah, she did say that she regretted it. So bringing it back to
Oh, she did.
I read a BBC article
Okay.
that said that she, I think it's a slippery slope too. Like once you start doing, yeah. So anyway, she said that she regretted having so much work done.
Well, good. I'm glad she said that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we should, of course, when this episode comes out, it's going to be like a month and a half after her passing. But we should acknowledge, of course, we wish Sly and his family, all the love and respect that anyone has when they lose a family member or mother, of course, mother in particular. But she lived almost a century.
And the reason that it was just sort of ironic.
Yeah, okay, no problem.
Because we were just discussing like, wow, he's 74 and his mom is still living.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
That's pretty impressive. So we were just talking about it, and then she did pass away like a day or two later.
Yeah, it's weird. It was after that recording that she passed away. She looked terrible, and I hate to say it. I mean, we all age, but I think it's a weird it's like you get to a certain age when you're just old. I mean, when you're a century old and you try to look younger, it's an impossibility. You can't do it. And I know that Sly's mom, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to her life. I'm just saying what she did to herself was wrong. It's unfortunate because it does more damage than good, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you ever looked at an old person and said, "Oh my goodness, they're old. I can't look at them." No, I see old people all the time, and guess what they look like? Old people. But when old people try to look 20 or 30 years younger than what they are, they just look weird. It's always weird, if not unattractive. And unfortunately, I'm glad she recognized that, and I hope other people will take note.
I do too.
Yeah, because of that damage. But obviously, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But she lived a full life. She got to see her sons live amazing lives, grandkids. I mean, she lived more of a life than as far as seeing the world and the wonders of the world and seeing success for her and her family. So good for her, and good for the Stallones to live the life they did. So yeah.
Yeah, she sounded like she had a very interesting life from the article that I read.
She did. We should almost do a whole episode on her, really, but.
Yeah, good point. Jane Fonda, I will say, has had a lot of work done, but she still looks pretty good. Like,
she's pulled it off.
Something.
She's pulled it off somehow. It's weird.
One of the few. Like, she's gotten really good work.
Yeah, she's paid top dollar because
nice.
Yeah, Kyle would still tap her. I mean, I would still tap, but
I would tap anything.
Yeah, Kyle, you're such for Lewis, one of our listeners, we're such degenerates. That's why he likes us. So.
Degenerates.
I don't know what it is too. Like I see like my wife likes the Real Housewives show.
Yeah.
And all these women who apparently have wealth, they all have the most fucked up lips.
Yeah.
Like, it's really weird. I'm like, why are you guys doing that? Like, whatever you had before that was not as bad as what you currently have.
I agree. And it's perplexing to me. There's a whole, I mean, there are a lot of people who look up to women like that too, and strive to do, they see them do it and then they want to do it. And
I have a rule when it comes to plastic surgery. Everything above the hips and below the neck, knock your socks off.
oh, okay.
So everything, yeah.
You're such a typical man.
What? I was just saying, I support women wanting to beautify everything above the hips and below the neck. Knock your socks off.
I don't know, man. Never mind. I'm not saying anything.
All right. No, and I just want people to be happy, and I want people to be happy without damaging too much. Like it becomes to a point where the plastic surgery, and I'm talking even about breast augmentation, it gets to the point where it becomes monstrous. It's silly.
Mm-hmm.
So just don't be silly. If it helps you feel better, and some of it is reconstructive, some of it is cosmetic.
True.
Or is that what it's called? Like when it's actually like burn victims.
No, cosmetic is not reconstructive.
Yeah.
Cosmetic is like you just want like better looking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should ask if you could do one thing. Oh, here's a question. If you could change one thing about you, it doesn't have to be like actual plastic surgery, but if you could change one thing, it doesn't have to be too private. You don't have to say if you don't want to.
I'd go with the 20-inch penis. I think.
Okay, we are going to go that way.
Oh,
are you talking?
Just absurd.
So you want yours reduced, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Good one. Oh gosh, that's a really. Ooh, what's yours, Ryan? I don't know. I have to think about it.
Oh, I know what I'd do.
Oh, could I say that can I like be a certain weight and could eat anything I wanted and maintain and not have to work out? Can I say that?
That's not a plastic surgery thing.
No, well, yeah, but I know what you're saying, but this is a fantasy thing. Like you could have this change. So like, let's say you had Dumbo ears, so you said I just want to have normal ears.
Mm-hmm.
So is there something about you that you say if you could snap your fingers, it would change to a different thing?
I'll go
sure.
if you want more time to think. I'd want to change my nose.
Okay.
I think my nose is like too big.
I don't think it is at all.
Oh, well, thank you. Some kid in grade 7 teased me about that, and I've had like a fucking complex about that ever since. Like 20-something years later.
Junior high school is the worst time ever. Like
I know. So that I don't know, that little prick. If I could find him, I'd be like, "You ruined my life."
I don't know. I always wanted, like, I grew up, I was like in junior high and high school in the 90s when it was supermodels. Like that was like a big thing in the 90s.
Sure,
and so like all the fashion magazines, they'd show their like measurements. And I would always be so perplexed. Like some of them would have like 22-inch waists.
Right.
And that stuck with me. Like, so I guess I would say I don't know if I would want a 22-inch, but I would say I would want like a teeny tiny waist is probably what I would say. Like 23-inch waist or something.
I don't know. I think, it's funny how you bring up nose. I've always felt my nose was big too. I think nose. It's definitely would be a face thing. I know it's hard to see, but I think it's the lighting too. But I feel
can't.
Like
you guys both say that. I actually feel like mine is big too. But the reason I wouldn't change that, and I don't think that you guys should either, is that I feel like people need some sort of distinctive feature on their face. Otherwise, everybody sort of would look the same.
Sure.
I don't know.
No, I like it.
And your nose and your ears are the two things of your body that never stop growing.
Before we have to turn over on Zoom here, what is one thing that you actually are really happy that you have?
That's a better question. I kind of like my eyes.
Oh, there you go.
I would say that. Yeah. What about you guys?
For me, honestly, I have fantastic feet.
That's a good one.
It's weird. Like, I'm not just saying that. People see my feet. Like, I have good toenails. All my feet, like, I have the big toes, the tallest, and it goes down. No crooked toes. I've got the feet. There's no crooked. Like, I should put my feet on the foot fetish sites or something because
you should make a buck.
Maybe because they're the type of feet that they're actually like. Maybe I'll post a picture of my feet.
Yeah,
that's actually a thing too. Apparently, feet on the internet. It's weird.
Oh, that feet is a big fetish.
Can I
Like,
make
yeah,
money
you
off
get like
feet?
foot jobs and stuff like that.
I wonder if I
and,
should
might.
post my
sorts of
feet.
things.
And I have no hair on my feet either. Like I've got
Really?
yeah. So my feet have no
Wow.
hair. The toes are like symmetrical and they're not crooked. Like they're
Are
all,
you pretty hairy in general though? Like, do you have
No.
like No. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
like my arm hair. I know you can't see on camera, but like I have no.
Is
Yeah.
it blonde?
Yeah, there's nothing there. It
Oh.
looks like there's nothing there, but it's white. It's like blonde hair. You can't. Really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have back hair?
Not. No.
It's a
Not.
weird question.
I'm
Well,
getting like a lot. Like
Oh.
my. Never mind. I'm sorry for the off
No,
topic.
no, it's fine. We got it's a good segue. So that's our housekeeping. We're gonna turn over pretty
No,
quickly.
well, it was Kyle's. Kyle,
Oh, sorry.
We didn't.
Or yours, Katie.
I said what my.
Her eyes.
Mhm.
Oh yes, that's right.
Mhm.
I've always had good teeth.
Oh,
Ooh,
Like
that's
I
also
never
a good
get like
one.
cavities or anything, or I've never had to get braces. Like they've always been
that's important.
like they're not like super white teeth. Like they're not like
They're normal human
really
teeth.
fake white teeth, but like I've never been insecure about what my teeth look like.
There's nothing worse
That's a
than
good
bad
one.
teeth, man. When people have some bad teeth, you can't talk to them. You always like you can't quite look them in the face because their teeth just kind of their teeth are almost talking. You know what I mean? Like they got like their own
You can't
mouths.
see anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw someone with black teeth once,
Oh, okay, all right.
and it was like,
Ooh.
yeah.
All right. Well, I hope our listeners enjoyed that little segue. If not, well, that's too
You're gonna
bad.
have to edit the shit out of this episode. I know like the Patreons will be able to see it, but
Oh, I think they're fine. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick stop. So stand by, guys, for the turnover.
Okay.
Oh, hopefully you guys didn't mind that. Oh, I have to completely stop it. Cancel. End meeting for all. Close. Frickin' Zoom. It's the best app, but if I get like 20 more patrons, I don't know why I'm telling you guys this. You're the only ones that are doing anything. Copy link. You can see all the behind the scenes stuff. The magic that makes this show work. See, it's kind of a big nose. Now I'm all self-conscious. Now I'm all self-conscious about my nose. It's the lighting and see, watch. It's like I feel like the light. I do have a bigger nose.
I'm muted. I do too. But I don't. You and Kyle said that. I wouldn't have noticed that, honestly.
Well, you're too nice.
No.
You're too nice. You're a nice person.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, you are. All right, that was good. No, I think it's fine that we do that little banter. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's good. All right, we're ready to go for our Creed discussion. Continues. We last left off where Adonis has forced himself to move in with Rocky. Bianca has bid her boyfriend adieu from her apartment window like Juliet to Romeo. And here we go. Let's check out the next scene. I think the next scene rolls right into Rocky giving Adonis a tour of his new residence.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
I'm gonna call you.
All right, I'm not gonna hold my breath.
That Bianca girl looks kind of nice. You like her?
Yeah, she cool. Wait, this way?
Yeah. Women we can legs, you know what I mean?
My legs work just fine.
all right, away. So there you go. Nice little nod to the original Rocky. Rocky actually says, well, first, if you couldn't quite hear it, dear listeners, Rocky says, oh, that Bianca looks really nice.
looks
And
kind of nice.
Looks kind of nice. I love that.
I
Did
love
he
that.
say
That's a-
looks? Did he say looks?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I like how he said that because that's such a Rocky way of saying something. Like Rocky always says stuff that, like, you know what he means, but it's like
Yeah.
it's just a little different than what someone else would say.
A Rockyism.
Yeah, and then he goes, yeah, well, she weakens legs, yeah, he's trying
Like, I
to.
know you're gonna tap that Adonis, but you gotta.
Well, and then Donnie says,
Yeah,
which
hold
I
on.
didn't catch. I didn't catch this when I I've actually only seen Creed like 3 times maybe, but I didn't catch this earlier. And Adonis just said, my legs work just fine.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I don't care. I'm going to do whatever.
But here's this weird thing. We know Rocky's saying this because we, as the viewer of the Rocky 1 film, Mickey says this to Rocky about Adrian. So it's kind of a nod to the franchise. Us nerds and nerd out. Woo! We nerd out. People who've never seen Rocky before hear that line. They might get an idea of what he's saying. Like, woman, they can make you weak in the knees, or they can, make you lose your concentration as a fighter. So even a non-Rocky fan would understand a little bit of that. But is that what Adonis is thinking? Because again, Adonis hasn't seen Rocky Part 1. He hasn't seen those.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. You're totally right. I need to like reframe how I watch this, I think now.
It's weird.
I think it's kind of well known though that like there is a myth that is a persistent myth that exists in reality that if men are having sex, it impedes their athletic performance.
I've heard that, and I heard the opposite's true for females.
For women. Yeah, like Ronda Rousey claimed that she had sex before fights because it increased the testosterone in her body. I don't know if any of that is legitimate. Like that is a belief that's out there.
It might be just something that helps them focus or stay hungry or angry or who knows. Yeah.
So I guess that like also precludes like some self-love as well.
Probably.
Like, are you totally?
Yeah.
Does that count? I don't know.
So you could argue this will be edited for my mom. So you could argue left hand weakens legs, Adonis.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that's unfortunate because we're going to see some aids that Adonis could use.
That's right. Adonis, stay away from Paulie's porn stash. It's coming up. Yeah.
God. It's a classy one too.
Yeah.
Paulie's room.
Oh,
Paulie's my best friend, even though he wasn't so friendly.
what happened to him?
Passed away.
I'm sorry.
Kind of a mess. We'll straighten it up later. It'll be comfortable.
Oh, man, this is a dope pick. That's your boy?
Yeah, it's my kid, Robert.
Did you train him too?
I tried, but he just didn't like fighting, didn't take to it.
You still live around here?
No, he moved to a place called Vancouver with his girlfriend. I think they're having a great old time up there. And, I hear from him now and then, but it was tough for him to live in Philadelphia and me and all that stuff. So, Rocky's son. Well, he's happy. I'm happy for him.
Okay, this is. I didn't want to stop this. I wanted to pause it on this picture here. This is a tough. I remember I almost started crying when I saw this in the theater because the picture that Michael B. Jordan. I'm just gonna talk real life here. The picture that Michael B. Jordan is holding is Stallone with his son Sage.
I was going to ask, I was like, which kid is that? He doesn't look like any of the kids who played him.
That's Sage. It is. That's Sage Stallone who played Rocky 5. You could argue that's legit his kid. And so we know. So the pain that Rocky. Correct me if I'm wrong, dear listeners, but this scene was talked about behind closed doors between Rocky and Jennifer. Sorry, I always do that. Between Stallone and Jennifer. Stallone was hesitant about talking about his son in the movie because of Sage being his son in Rocky 5 and the connections to that. And she goes, no, you have to kind of face that pain, but use that pain for the scene. And that's something to that effect. So this is very real for Stallone. Obviously, in the movie, talking about his son Robert being, emotionally separated from his life, living in Vancouver. But the picture that we see here is a real picture of Sly, the father, with his son Sage, with the boxing gloves. And they're talking about, I tried to train my son, it didn't work out. But ultimately, that life didn't work out. It's, ugh.
It's interesting too because it's like Vancouver is just such a far away and different place than Philly.
Right.
Like it's not like Robert's dead, but it's like he didn't just move like to Cleveland or something. Like he really moved far away and to a very different kind of place, different country, like you know what I mean? So it kind of alludes a little bit to that. And you definitely can tell in this scene Stallone seems kind of bothered.
Yeah.
Very. He doesn't look Donnie in the eyes. Like he's very like he is almost in tears. Like he's It's like if he kept talking about, like, he has to change the subject,
And
or he would be in tears, it seems.
yeah, it's a tough scene. It's a
Yeah,
tough scene because we
yeah.
know what's happened in real. It's weird. We know, boy, these films continue to represent the real life of Stallone. It's insane how much of his real life is in each film. It's insane.
I think that's his strategy. Like that,
Yeah.
like he, like what? It's easier to make the film real and relatable if it is a reflection of reality to some degree.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't seem as fake.
Yeah, this is an incredible scene here of Adonis holding the picture. Again, art, life, life, and art, because this is the real Stallone with his real son Sage, and a picture that was taken at the time that no one ever thought it would be used.
Yeah.
The other thing that he always does, and this is a Rocky thing, he doesn't ever speak poorly about anyone. Like, even if there is animosity, he gives the person the benefit of the doubt. Because I think he probably is hurt. Both, Rocky the character is probably hurt that his son felt that he needed to move so far away and that he hasn't seen him. He clearly hasn't even been there. And so it's like, but it's so much why we love Rocky, because he still speaks so highly of him. Like, he never says a negative word about anyone.
Yeah, the worst
Does
thing
he ever?
Well, the worst thing he said about Paulie is he wasn't very friendly. He was my best friend, but even though he wasn't very friendly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't talk bad about people to other people. Like, he called Paulie a jealous, lazy bum to his face,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
but he never
behind
had him
someone's
talking
back.
bad about Paulie to others.
Yeah.
Well, and even when he was prompted to, before he and Apollo were friends at the press conference, they were like, "Hey, Rocky, do you have anything derogatory?" Yeah. Well, part of that was maybe he didn't know what the word derogatory meant.
I think that's
yeah,
what it
for
was.
sure.
I think that's what it
like,
was.
Derogatory. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah,
I think
that.
that's.
But I agree with you though, in the sense that in that whole press conference in Rocky 2, Rocky was very respectful and friendly towards Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think even if he did know the meaning of that word, he wouldn't have said anything derogatory.
Right.
Yeah, he might have said, "I can't. He's the best." Is probably what he would have said.
Yeah.
Why don't you unpack, all right? Make yourself comfortable, and I want to go to the restaurant, and I'll be back, and we start first thing in the morning, all right?
You got it.
Looks like there was tears in Sly's eyes there.
He's so choked up there.
Yeah, he really is. You can hear it in his voice. I wonder how much... He's got tears in his eyes. I don't know.
How many takes was this scene too, right?
Not very many.
I bet you 1 or 2 at the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're not gonna put Sly through that. All right, Sly, that was great. More emotion on the next one. This is my 8th take.
It's like Adonis forgets his line or something. We'll just splice it in somehow.
But what's interesting here is you're sensing in Adonis's mind. He's like, he's seeing that here's a guy who has an estranged relationship with his own son, and here's a guy who doesn't have a father because his father passed away. So it's interesting how you have 2 individuals from different spectrums of not connecting with their fathers in some way.
Yeah, like they're gonna form a bond because they're both, he's got gaps, the other guy's got gaps. Together they fill gaps.
I don't get it, Rocky. What do you see in Adonis? Are you bullying him?
You gotta pay rent somehow.
That's right.
He does start to call him the kid.
Yeah, that's right. I don't see the black kid. All right. All right, so Adonis is checking out Paulie's room, looking at some of the memorabilia and stuff. Did we catch anything here of note, though, that's up here? Got an American flag. Oh, is that the same American flag that Paulie waved in Rocky 4 at the exhibition fight?
That could have been.
Remember he had those little flag. Did he have a little flag that he waved? I can't remember. Maybe not. Okay.
He held like a big flag.
Oh.
That's like, when you go down to the U.S., often it'll look like the same as Canada. Like, you won't really notice a difference, except for the flags.
Yeah.
Like, there's flags everywhere. That's like one huge difference for me. So if I see a flag there, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense.
In the U.S., so there's not a lot of flags in Canada? Is that what you're saying?
Not as many. Like, I just noticed in the U.S. there's like way more flags.
Well, we call them homosexuals.
Oh, Oh, like a cigarette.
Well,
Stupid joke.
Is that where you were going?
It was a stupid joke. It was
Yeah.
absolutely. Don't worry, it will not be on the audio thing. This is one of the jokes that don't
That was a
land.
stretch, though. It took me a minute. I was like,
Because
oh,
he
okay.
said you don't have any flags in Canada, so it's like we call them almost. I thought it was funny. Oh, I'm a terrible person. Okay.
There's like a antiques, so the room is like antique.
Yeah.
yeah, then there's like the beer and wine thing there.
Yeah, I
He
saw
has
that.
like the neon lights.
A neon sign.
Yeah, which is like, yeah, you have alcoholism, so that makes sense. I wonder when he lights those up, right? Like, I'm gonna have he's drinking alone in his room. He like flicks the thing.
It's like being a heroin addict. You got a big neon needle in your room.
Well, he just probably stole it from a bar sometime. Like,
Probably from the Lucky
As in-
Tavern. The Lucky
yeah.
Tavern.
He's like the kind of guy who would just like take it while you're watching him, just because he knows he could do it. Like, you know, sometimes when someone does something really fucked up, you just almost in disbelief that it's happening, so you just kind of watch. Like,
Is that happening? Yeah. Oh, might have frozen my end. It's buffering.
that, and so they could just walk, take something, and then walk out, and everyone's just like,
well, and
what's
then
happening?
you don't want to touch that level of crazy. Like, I don't want to interact at this point, so I'm just gonna, yeah.
Hey, parlay.
I texted Ryan about this when this movie came out.
I was kind of hoping it would have been the comics, but it's not.
Yeah, it's like
that
yeah,
he references.
What was the name of that magazine? Swank?
Swank. So
Is that a real magazine? Is that a real magazine?
Oh yeah, so my friends and I. This is because I was also a teenager in the '90s, and before internet pornography. The friend of mine, like stepdad, had like a huge box full of porn in his garage, which we would sneak into and take. And this is before like internet, people had internet that much,
Right.
and that was one of the types. And like in terms of like say a magazine like Playboy being kind of classy, Swank is like the exact opposite. And
Is it like Penthouse? Is that the
way worse than Penthouse. Like Swank's like really explicit.
Oh wow.
Or what's the one Larry Flint? What was
Oh,
it?
Hustler.
Penthouse. Oh, Hustler. That's right.
Hustler. That's what I was
yeah,
thinking.
it's like
Yeah.
it's probably as bad or worse than Hustler.
Okay.
Oh.
Which makes sense. Like Paulie goes like goes hard. It probably doesn't care. Right?
Yeah.
Well, and then also there's also what's that cartoon dog? Like, in addition to the porn, he has a framed cartoon dog.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, it's a dog wearing a toque or a snow cap, you call it in the States.
Yeah.
You know, you could tell that Adonis, like, I don't care who you are, but if I saw an old timey nudie magazine on the table, I'm flipping at least one page. I'm like,
You know what? My
out
wife
of
and I
curiosity,
read this-
you would just be like,
oh yeah. Also, it's probably from like 19.
That's what I mean. Like, I'd be interested.
Something.
Like, oh, this is 1975 Swank. Let's check. Yeah. Anyways.
that happened to me the other day. My wife and I were at this bookstore, the Wee Book Inn, and it has lots of really old books. And then there was like Playboys from the 70s there.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm like, I'll look at this. It was like for every like one page of like actual pictures, there was like 15 pages of advertisements.
Right.
Who advertises in Playboy?
Anyone.
Yeah.
Lots of booze.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I was just like, what the hell is this? Who would buy this?
Hmm.
All right, so that's the tour of Paulie's room. Now we got a city skyline at night shot here.
Hey, it's time to train. This is how you start. Get your engine going.
So that was an adorable moment that Rocky had. So for our listeners, the alarm went off on Adonis's phone 5:45 a.m., which is not as early as what Rocky got up on his first training.
I'm checking that out right now.
It's 4 a.m.
That's the first thing I thought. Is I'm like, I think Rocky got up way earlier, so I'm trying to run the thing on YouTube to find out when his alarm clock.
I'm 90% sure it was 4 a.m. when he woke up.
I think so too. 4:30.
And so
it is. Yeah, it's 4 a.m.
That's
You're
early.
right.
That's very early. But 5:45 a.m. That's almost a standard time I get up on a work morning myself. But anyway, so Rocky does that clever little dance. He's like pepped up, ready to go. He's feeling happy and healthy this morning. Showing Adonis, look, I'm an old man. Let's get going. Let's get training. Let's get running. And now, remember when Rocky said in part 1 where he says, I can't sing or dance? I don't know. He's got some moves here.
Yeah.
Well, no, did you see Donnie's face, though? But I think this is actually his dancing debut, right? We've not seen him dance before.
As a
Rocky.
character? As a character?
Yeah, at Rocky.
Yeah.
Rocky.
Yeah, he's sung to Adrian on the bed.
Yeah.
Do, do, do.
Dodo, you
Do,
mean?
do, do, do. Yeah, I love that. In fact, Kyle was on that episode with me. Kyle was on that.
that was a good
I
one.
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did he ever do any kind of dance jig?
I don't think so.
I'm gonna say definitively no.
The closest he
Not
ever
even
did.
Debut.
The closest he ever did was when he did the training sequence in Rocky 3
With
when he's doing
Yeah.
when he's doing that little dance like that. You can't make him train like a colored fighter. You know,
Yeah.
He ain't
No,
got
that
no
doesn't
rhythm.
count.
Yeah, that's right.
And Adonis's face is like, what the hell are you doing? And it's 5:45.
And he's also thinking white people.
Oh,
Well,
for
and I wonder what
sure.
time Adonis's alarm was set for, or if he had an alarm at all. You
Was
think,
that
like,
the
if you're
music-
disciplined? You have an alarm, right?
No, was that his phone going off, or was that Rocky
No.
waking up Adonis?
No, his phone wasn't going off, but he checked his phone to see what time it was, and it made me think
Mhm.
he probably would have an alarm on his phone like everybody else does.
Okay, I was
And-
confused by that. I thought it was his music going off on his phone, but it was
I
Rocky's
thought
music.
that Yeah.
Okay.
At first,
Yeah,
I
there's
thought
no way
that, but
Adonis would have that as his
that
alarm.
music. I know that was the giveaway.
Right, of course.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna take you to this place called the Front Street Gym up in North Philly. It's pretty good.
Okay.
You gotta train there, because I don't want you to train in the same place as the guy is you're gonna be fighting, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, don't get in.
Now they've agreed to fight Leo. Was that shown on screen?
No, there is the scene between Rocky and Creed that we covered, or Rocky and Adonis that we covered, and Rocky's like, okay, like if we're in this, we're in it for 100%, and I think that was kind of the scene where they agreed to do it, but it wasn't very clear. It wasn't explicit.
Yeah, like it's weird. We've been covering this scene by scene. It's weird that they didn't show a scene where Rocky talks to Pete. Okay, let's make this happen, because now that's what they're training for. They're training for the Leo fight.
Yeah. And there was a scene where they were training in the same gym, and Pete was giving him the stink eye a little bit.
But that was before they agreed to fight.
No, it wasn't. Are you sure? I feel like
I just edited the episode, so that's why it's fresh. So
Okay.
because Pete saw them train. He goes, your kid's looking good. Can he cut weight? And then that's when he offered to, why don't you get him down 5 pounds and then he can fight my boy? It'll be good publicity. And then they had the talk on the street, and then they moved in together. So now that's what I mean. This is the first mention that we're fighting them was right here. Like
This is good though. I agree with the way they did this, because that seems useless. We all know Pete would agree to it.
Oh, fair.
Like it's just a formality. There's no drama. There's no new information that would be added.
True.
Like
That's a good point.
it's a waste of time. So it's just like him just saying, you're going to be fighting this guy now. Okay, good. Now we know he's fighting Leo.
And they're right. You can't train in the same gym. You can't.
it's also dark out. They're about to go for a run, and Rocky tells him not to get in the van.
Yeah.
But it's dark out because it's so early in the morning.
Ugh, it's coming. Those months are coming. We're in there.
I don't
now.
know what it is, but I feel like the cold is like better to train in. Like I couldn't imagine like training somewhere where it's like really nice and temperate, and you're just like blah 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 blah. Like I feel like if like getting up in the cold takes like a certain motivation, and like when it's cold,
like what
and
the
dark
Bible
and
says.
Crappy. Yeah,
like
it's like
the
when
Bible.
Rocky trained in Russia, right? Like that was kind of giving the edge, and
Yeah.
Like
Adonis-
training in like a crappier environment, I think is a plus.
Maybe crappier because Adonis does train in the desert in Creed 2.
Yes.
Well,
he
okay,
does.
it's an extreme environment though, right?
Yeah,
Like it's not
yeah.
comfortable.
Right.
So either it's way too hot or too cold or whatever.
So you couldn't train in Vancouver.
No way. No way.
Well, I want you to run alongside. I'm kind of antique, right?
Yeah.
So I'll drive, and you try to keep up.
Well, how close is it?
It's close enough.
Hey, let me warm up real quick.
So it's a fun little scene. So he goes, how far is this gym that we're going to? He goes, oh, it's close enough. And Adonis asks, can I warm up for a second here first? And Rocky just starts driving. And Adonis is like, oh, boy, here we go. And it's a pretty good pace they set right away.
Yeah, I think Rocky is getting Adonis out of his comfort zone, out of his rut. I think that's like anyone training or anything or just in life in general. It's really easy to get into a rut where you don't push yourself anymore. And so I think Rocky is testing Adonis's boundaries and showing Adonis that you're actually capable of doing more than you think you can.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
You made it.
Thought you said it was close.
Not that close. This is Frankfurt. Tough place. You want to be a Philly fighter? Here's the place to go. Philly fighters, I think they're the toughest guys in the world. In a lot of ways. Maybe it's in the water, I don't know, but great place, though.
So with all these bikes?
It's a Philly thing. These guys are popping wheelies and making noise, going up and down the street.
You ride?
No, I had a Harley once, but I fell off, so I decided to use my feet.
Okay, a few things happen here. So we've got a little bit of a foreshadow of these biker guys riding around their bikes. This is the first time we've had any kind of mention of Philly having bikers, like scooting around and popping wheelies in the neighborhood. Is that...
Yeah, what do you call those though? They're like they're motorized, but they're like not
dirt bikes?
they're not like they're
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
is that
dirt
what it is?
bikes.
Dirt
Yeah,
bikes. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Like trick bikes, almost dirt bikes. Yeah. Now,
They're relatively inexpensive vehicles, right?
right.
Like these guys can't afford Harleys, they can't afford cars, but you could probably scrape up a few $100 to get one, like a used one of these, right?
So our,
They looked pretty nice though.
oh, they're nicer bikes. Yeah. And for our audio listeners, they heard that guy zoom by and he blew that stop sign. Oof, that's dangerous. He went right through that stop sign. I don't know if you caught
It's
that.
also light out now, so it was a very long run.
Yeah, at least an hour. We could assume
Yeah.
at least an hour run, yeah. And another little trivia here. Rocky mentions another little nod here to what?
Mhm.
His Harley in Rocky 3.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he goes, I used to have a Harley, but I fell off of it, so now I just use my feet.
Which is another one of his little Rocky sayings. Like that's who nobody else would say that. Like Kyle, you mentioned something you said earlier.
But I
the same
love how
way.
the question was
Yeah.
asked by Adonis, have you ever ridden, do you have a bike? And that we actually got to hear it, but it's actually not true. Do you know what happened to the bike?
Oh, yes.
It got taken.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, repossessed because get off the bike, kid.
Yeah.
Rocky, I didn't think of that. but
So
that's right.
maybe that's a little bit of a white lie by Rocky. Maybe he did fall off of it, but I assume he used it up until I assume he rode it until the auction.
I guess if I want to believe to be the Rocky apologist here,
Sure.
Rocky fell off the Harley, but instead of selling it, just kept it in the garage to collect dust.
Yeah, it's
used
possible
his
that
feet
both are
and
true.
then-
That
Yeah.
he did
well, it
fall
was
off the bike
customized. I mean, I would keep it. I would keep it even if I didn't ride it. It was customized.
because he rode it really well
Mhm.
with Adrian. That's one of the great scenes, Adrian and Rocky together with the
good.
hair going back, and that's
Yeah.
a great scene there.
I wonder when Rocky got his driver's license because I'm pretty sure he didn't have it in Rocky 2.
No,
Where
he
he
was
was
driving when he should not have been driving in Rocky 2.
He didn't know. He didn't know how to drive, and he said, "I'm one of the greats."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll drive you crazy if you let me.
I'm sure since he's
Aw.
rich, he hired someone
Yeah.
to train. But it's like,
Interesting though, Sly though himself is an accomplished motorcyclist. Obviously, First Blood, he did a lot of those stunts. So it was him on the dirt bike. Of course, Rocky 3 he rode the bike. The Expendables, he rides a big hard. Those bikes that he rode in the Expendables are actually very hard to ride, but you got to be very strong. They're so big and awkward. They're just like, but yeah, he loves the motorcycles. That's kind of cool. Front Street Gym, though, this is the first time this one's been mentioned, I think, in the series.
He says it's in Frankfurt.
Okay.
Right? Didn't he say that?
Yeah, I just don't know.
Yeah,
where
which is,
that
I guess, an area of North Philly, he says.
Yeah.
So he goes, all the toughest Philly fighters come out of here.
I think that's
Now,
like
this
a
kid-
street in Philadelphia, though, too.
I effed up here. I hit.
Yeah, I sort of assumed it was like the name of a neighborhood or something.
Sorry, guys, messed up.
But it's not lavish by any means. It looks a little rough.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
No, I had a Harley once, but I fell off, so I decided to use my feet. Now, this kid Sperino, he's got something special. He's no pushover, so you're gonna have to work, you know what I mean? What do you think? Not bad, huh?
Not bad at all.
Yeah, this will get the job done. Really will. Oh, look at this, guys. Hey, the gang's all here. Hey, Donnie. Look at this. This is the crew if I ever saw one. Hey, Batman,
Hey,
good to
Jack.
see you. Been
Come on,
so
Jack.
long.
How you doing,
This
man?
guy's so good with the mitts, he's gonna teach you a lot of stuff. He's got a lot of knowledge. And Stitch, best cut man in Philadelphia. Hope you don't need him.
Pleasure.
And over here is Elvis Grant. He makes the best glove in the world. And as my present to you, starting out on the right foot,
Thank you, man.
he's gonna make you a pair of gloves so your hands don't get so bad as me. What? Is that coffee I smell in that?
Yeah.
All right, so he's just introduced him to his ragtag of a team here, but all these guys, my understanding, they're all real in the business of what he introduced them as. That's what they are in real life.
I recognize Stitch.
I gotta
was-
assume
yeah.
the other two guys. I dollars to donuts. Those other two guys are glove makers and all these other things that he's saying.
I wondered too, but we've seen Stitch before, haven't we?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was
He
in
was in-
Dixon's Corner.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
But like Stitch is really well known. He does cut work in boxing and MMA.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's the real deal.
he's like, yeah, he's probably gets like he's like a top cut man for sure.
So I wonder. I bet you dollars to donuts. I don't know why I said that twice. Those two other guys, it would be just as easy to have them be who they are.
I want to point out that I think dollars to donuts might be an outdated phrase now because donuts are often more than $1. But I guess
Depends.
it's just in the reverse.
Maybe they're day old.
Yeah.
All right, you guys get to know each other.
Mayor. Mayor.
Man, I can eat some
This
coffee.
is my son. This is my son, Mayor. That's when you can be small with.
Man, what's up, Don? Nice to meet you.
So he's just met his sparring partner here. We've got 10 minutes left on this recording. Let's watch a little bit of some of the training.
Okay, let go. Let's go. No, push off that back foot.
Yeah, so now we're starting to see some early training with Adonis with these guys. That's what I'm saying with the guys with the, I don't know what we call that guy who holds the gloves that you hit.
What are those like focus mitts or punch pads or whatever? Is really good at them.
That's
and
what
I've
I'm
always
wondering.
wondered.
That's why I think it's a
But-
real person that does that stuff.
And he's an older gentleman, and he also, did you notice, because I feel like in another Rocky or another Stallone movie, there was a character that had a match in his mouth. And Padman has a match in his mouth. Like instead of a toothpick, like he's like kind of
That was
chewing on a
Cobra.
match.
Cobra had the match in his mouth. Cobra-Eddie. It was Cobra-Eddie. Yeah. That character, Sloan playing Cobra. You ever seen Cobra?
I honestly don't think I have either. Is Brigitte Nielsen in that one too?
Yeah. It was after Rocky 4.
Yeah, I've seen pieces of it maybe, but not the whole thing. I need to watch it.
You do.
Yeah. What stands out to me in this scene, though, like Adonis seems like he's learned. Like this guy Adonis is training with seems more like skilled or capable than him, or at least like more used to training.
Sure.
Well, they get into a little tiff about it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it just reminds me of Rocky. Like Rocky was training to fight Apollo, and it was learning like the basics of fighting, like having balance while you punch and like tying the string between your feet. And Adonis seems to be like learning like boxing basics, right? And it's like you're going to be facing up against an opponent who's like a seasoned fighter. Like for Rocky, it was the champion of the world, which is more extreme. But like the Sparino guy was like on the U.S. Olympic team. He's like an experienced pro boxer. Like Sparino's probably not learning these basics, right? So it's like he creates a huge disadvantage here.
I have not an argument back, but my theory could be they're just maybe seeing where he's at with everything because he's self-taught. So maybe they're just saying, okay, he's self-taught all these years. Where is he regarding the first steps of boxing? Okay, and this might just be like the first day. Like, okay, we see that we don't have to work on this skill or that skill. He's got that one down or that. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're just weeding out what they need to focus on for the next 6 weeks. So he's
could be.
He's not necessarily that he's learning these things, but he's doing them with them. And it's like, okay, we need to work on your footwork. We need to work on. I don't know anything about boxing training, but I'm just maybe something like that. So it's kind of like a speed course. Let's focus on what your weakest at.
My guess is like these trainings are very specific drills and exercises that you either have the muscle memory for or you don't.
Right.
And as someone who's self-taught, he likely wouldn't have come up with these. So like he's going to be learning them. Now, granted, when he's self-taught, he probably has skills and abilities that are not shown here that may exceed his sparring partners that you just don't see, right?
Right.
True. If I'm a mirror though, and they do kind of get, I mean, there's also young, egotistical dudes kind of,
Sure. Yeah.
showing their, whatever the expression is, like pounding their chest a little bit. But like, if I'm a mirror, I would be a little like, how do you have a big shot at now? But I'm just your sparring partner. But
totally.
I know I'm better than you, or I know more, or I've been doing this more or whatnot.
Yeah. Good point.
Come on, Donnie, a little quicker. Come on, Donnie, back it up. No, just like he's doing. Yeah.
I can't pivot. Yeah, you still get your turn. It's a power.
Fast, pop the fast.
I'm popping as fast as I can. You feel me? I'm trying to push up my back foot like you told me.
Donnie, come here.
I came out here to work with you though.
This is how I work, okay? There's some things I can't do. I can't do this anymore. I can never hold the pads like that. But I'm looking at you. I'm working with you. And I'm working with this.
Okay, that's an interesting little scene there. We'll stop it there because we only got 5 minutes left on this. But it's an interesting little scene there where he mentions, like, Adonis mentions his concerns. Like, I thought you were going to be holding the bag and all this stuff. And Rocky is hinting again, he doesn't have the strength anymore to hold the bag. He doesn't have the strength anymore to take his shots or the speed that's needed for that. But he says, but I am here. I'm taking notes and I'm working with your brain. He points to his head. I'm working here. Really good little moment there. Sly again, really acting the crap out of this film.
Yeah. I've actually always wondered that in all of these movies. I'm in awe of the scenes where they do the pad work. I don't know, exactly what it's called, but it's like, I don't know how you wouldn't get punched in the face if you're the person holding the mitts. Like, cause
right. Maybe they did. Maybe they have. There's probably some deleted scenes and blooper reels. Of course, we're seeing what's not, like, we're seeing the non-mistakes on film.
I know. I just wonder if, like, generally, like, if anybody knows, like, if boxers, like, is that part of training, and the handler of them does get hurt often or not?
I don't know about boxing, but we use those in karate.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, not as much the hand ones, but like for that you probably start slow and then kind of move from there. But like I think a lot of it's muscle memory because you're doing a lot of the same drills all the time.
That's right. Yeah,
you're getting into a rhythm, and accidents do happen. People do get punched in the face or kicked in the head or something, but yeah, like like you're moving your arm in such a way that you're not thinking about it anymore. It's just like you feel it and then you do it.
That makes sense.
All right. Well, I don't want to, but yeah, we'll stop it there. There's some good training coming up, and I think our next episode will probably lead up to the fight, and then the one after that will be the fight. I think if we were to time it like that, that would be the next 2 episodes. So exciting things are happening. It's starting to pick up a little bit. There's only an hour and 20 minutes left in the film. It sounds like a lot, but 52 minutes have already gone by. So we're getting there. It's I'm enjoying this journey and breaking this down with you guys.
Likewise. It does feel like we're taking a long time to get through it. That's
the name of the to quote Thunder
That's
Lips,
the name of the game.
That's the name of the game. But it's so stupid.
I love it.
I will say, I think I would have to go back and look. I know other seasons were 20 to 25 episodes. Now, granted, some of those had interviews and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take away the like, I know Rocky 4, it was only an 80-minute movie, but it was like 30 or 25 or 30 episodes. So I think it's about average.
Okay.
15, at least 15 episodes per movie at the average. So if you were to keep this as episode 9, so 6 to 7 more, that's about right. So maybe there probably, let's say even there's 8, 9 more, that's fine. So it might be a little bit higher, but I don't have any interviews lined up this season. So in some ways this might be a shorter season, ironically, but every episode is almost going to be the movie. Because, all these people that are in this movie, they're all too recent and big wigs to talk to me. It's weird. It's that weird fine line, between, like... I am going to try getting a hold of the guy that did the soundtrack. I forget his Ludwig.
Göransson?
Yeah, but he's a big guy now.
Yeah.
He's a big...
Get Stitch on the podcast.
Ooh, actually, he could answer all our boxing questions.
Actually,
exactly.
You know what? Stitch might be a reasonable person to reach out to.
Well, he's probably pretty famous, but still.
Yeah, but do you think he's getting a lot of people asking him for interviews for podcasts? I hate to say it like that, but you got to wonder.
Yeah.
Like,
I've seen interviews of him, like just at the gym, where people are asking him questions about stuff. He seems pretty nice.
Okay.
Oh, awesome.
So,
all right, well, I'll reach out to him. Well, we got 1 minute left, so with that, everyone, thank you so much for listening, everybody. Send us an email at gtdwithrr@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter. We forgot to do that segment. We'll do it next time. We had a great discussion on how we fix our body, so send us an iTunes review. We haven't had one in a while. We really appreciate an iTunes review. And hit us up on Patreon. Patreon, you get unedited video and all that good stuff. You get to see the jokes that don't make it, the ones that don't land, and and the video as we talk to it. All right, thanks everyone. Katie, take us out.
Ding, ding.
All right, guys, it's going to stop in 30 seconds. All right, it's good. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
You too. Nice to see you guys.
October 9th. That's the next date I have in mind. Just
Is
FYI.
it?
Okay.
If it works.
What day is that?
It's a Friday night.
It's a Friday.
Okay.
All right.
Just assume I have no plans on a Friday.
I assume.
I don't.
All
Right.
Right.
It's fine.
Take care, guys.
I have 2 kids. I never have plans on a Friday.
It's stopping.
All right.
I'll see you later.